Hello everyone, my name is Salim and welcome to the Markets Breakdown Analysis for Tuesday, the 19th of September 2023. We'll be breaking down chart on the exact zones where price will close above potential buys or close below for potential sells as well. So looking at the daily candle for Monday, the daily has been bullish, breaking above these rejections and more likely will be closing above these rejections as well, which is the 1930 area. Hasn't formed a bottom wick at all. So what's interesting with this daily candle is this daily candle managed to break above these multiple daily rejections. So just a quick breakdown, we have a retracement that was formed on Friday last week, rejecting the 1930, closing around 1923, 1924. We have the Monday daily candle from last week as well, rejecting the upside, closing week bullish. And this is also the Friday daily candle prior to the last week that was formed on the 8th of September 2023. Now, also on yesterday's analysis, we've mentioned how we could see a retest of this previous weekly resistance and obviously the confirmation was since the previous weekly candle closed weak bullish, forming weekly support around 19,200, rejecting the downside. Now we can see the bottom wick, this is a rejection. A reason why is because the bottom wick is bigger than the top wick, so that means price is rejecting the downside. So the probability for price to respect this weekly support and retest this weekly resistance became really high. Now the only thing we have to keep in mind is this new weekly candle hasn't formed the bottom wick, so maybe price will retest this weekly resistance and then starts to reject and push back down, and that will allow the monthly candle to start retesting this monthly support again to continue bearish to fill this previous monthly low. And now to break down the chart, obviously dropping down to the 4-hour time frame, and what we can identify here, we have the most recent 4-hour support formed around 1926,500. The most recent 4-hour resistance formed all the way up to 1945,500. Dropping down to the hourly, and now we have a new level of support on the hourly around 1931,400. Looking on the left for a level of resistance, we have this hourly resistance formed around 1934,100. Now looking on the 5-minute time frame, we have the same level of support and resistance. More likely will be the same on the 15-minute time frame. And now to identify the no trade zone. So the first thing we can see here is this is actually a small range for price to consider this as a no trade zone, because since the daily will be closing bullish, now the anticipation for the Tuesday daily candle is to retrace, respect this low, and then retest this high, and then continue bullish. And that will allow for price to retest this weekly resistance. But we need to allow enough range for price to consolidate before breaking out of this range. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the 4-hour time frame. And looking on the left, and what we can see, we have this previous 4-hour support. We have this 4-hour rejection. Previous 4-hour support formed around 1936. Looking at the hourly, let's see if we can identify anything. On the hourly, we can identify this previous 1-hour support around 1935,800. And looking on the 5-minute time frame, that's the same level of support. I would say potential buys could potentially be above 1935,800, and potential sells could be below. Let's just recess this again. So we have let's have a look on the hourly time frame. Maybe we could adjust it to 1930, but then we have on the 5-minute time frame, so clean traffic all the way down to this level. I would say what we could do, and to be more precise, maybe we could adjust this level to 1930,500, allowing for price to retest this previous broken high that was formed on Friday for a retest. So I'd say potential sells could be below 1930,500 as price break and close below this level. And this is going to be the no trade zone. I'm just going to put a rectangle to identify this area as a no trade zone. And now to look for potential buys, and going back to the daily. So since the daily is bullish, now actually the weekly, we have identified a weekly resistance that was formed around 1940,100. Looking at the daily time frame, now the daily matches the weekly resistance, matches with this previous daily support formed around 1940,100. Looking at the 4-hour time frame, on the 4-hour time frame, what's interesting is we have this previous 4-hour support formed around 1938,800. Now what we need to do is, yes, we can have a target, the first target for, let's say, for buys at 1940,100, retesting this previous weekly resistance formed around 1940,100. But we need to keep in mind that price could possibly reject the 1938,900 because this is a previous 4-hour support. But the anticipation is for price to continue bullish, so this shouldn't be much of a problem. As long as we have volume for price to push bullish, this shouldn't be a problem. So I'd say the first target for buys could potentially be 1940, targeting a weekly resistance. The second target for buys, we have this previous daily resistance around 1944,400. Drop it down to the 4-hour time frame. We have this decent 4-hour resistance formed around 1945,700. Looking on the hourly, let's have a look what we can see. This is the previous 1-hour resistance as well. We're just going to base those targets based on the high time frame since we are breaking out of this rejection area. So I'd say the second target for buyers could potentially be 1945,700, targeting this previous 4-hour resistance. And now to look for potential sells, going back to the daily. The first thing now we can see here is we have, actually, what we're going to do, we're going to put a line to where this weekly support formed around 19,700, and we're going to break it down. Looking on a daily, now we have this daily low that was formed on Monday, which is the weekly low as well, the current weekly low. Drop it down to the 4-hour time frame, and now we have a small range on the 4-hour time frame within this range. So the first thing we can see is we have this previous 4-hour support formed around 1926,400. Drop it down to the hourly time frame. This is a range on the hourly. This is actually really messy because when you look on the 5-minute time frame, candles been printing side by side, and you can easily see price being consolidating. As you can see, the size of the candles are really small, and this is where we need to be really cautious about trading the range. So I'd say the first target for sells could potentially be 1926,400, targeting this 4-hour support. The second target for sells, again, ideally stab it at this 4-hour support formed around 1922,300.
Dominion Markets, your trading sanctuary.